scraping the membrane, which is the flesh side of the hide, off. And you can see it's kind of got this little bit of, you can see the membrane. It dries really nice when it's dry like this, and you can peel it off. And so we want to scrape it off. Although I've heard someone who shared with me that he's heard that the old people would keep the membrane on and it would act as a wind barrier in mitts, because it's the inside you would use, right? But so what I want to do is I want to get down to the veins here. So the veins are visible, like you can still see there's a bit covering these veins. So I want to get down so they look more smooth. That's where I want to get to with this. And this is a tool that I'm using that my dad made, and it's fashioned after a tool that another high tanner shared, let me use for a little while, and he'd seen his elders use it. And my uncle actually has one like this too, and my uncle, who grew up with my Shomis and would learn from him, knows what he's doing with hides, so he's made a tool like this. So it's kind of an area, it's a tool that I think I've really only seen in Ontario. The guy that who lent me his is from Long Lac area, and then and then my grandpa's in Lac Seul, just nearby. And so it's just an axe that's been put on this hide horizontally, and it's quite heavy. And I find it works really well in the winter frost scraping. This has been my, I didn't have those tools yet, but this has been my go-to for that. And right now I kind of want the wide, thin blade to get off this membrane. I don't really want to cut into it much. I did here, because there was still a lot of thick membrane on the hump of the moose. So I'm kind of hesitant to use those again, because I don't want to cut out too much, and that's why I switched to this one. So in my experience, I find putting the moose hide on a frame is way easier than trying to do a wet scrape. It's way more effective. And you kind of have the luxury of time. And I think some people, maybe some more experienced tanners, might say, no, you shouldn't take your time. But for me, if it's just me at home by myself, I can leave it and just work on it as I can. And I do a bit of scraping every day or something. Or I work on it, for 2 days in a row. I go ham on the hides. But that's what I like about it. Because once the hide is up like this, and the flesh and the fat is removed, it'll dry, and it should be fine. If you're keeping it out of the elements, and it doesn't, you do want to make sure you protect it from mold and prevent stuff like that happening. And I also do scraping in the winter, and that is a really nice way to work on moose hides as well.